Alan Schimmel, DevOps.com here at DevOps Enterprise Summit 2015 with one of my heroes in the DevOps space when I first started getting into DevOps, Jean Kim introduced me to her, and I love listening to her speak and read what work she's doing. Dr. Nicole Forsgren.
Thank you.
Can I call you Dr. Nicole or is that Forsgren?
Sure, whatever
Nicole,
you want.
Thank you so much for joining us today. You just presented.
I did.
And for those of us in the audience, or our viewers in the audience who weren't here unfortunately, can you give us a little background on your presentation?
Sure, so the presentation this time was about kind of a follow-on from last year. So last year was DevOps in the Bottom Line. It was the 2014 State of DevOps findings from Puppet Labs. This year, it was the 2015 Puppet Labs State of DevOps study, which was so last year we found IT performance, DevOps, contributes to organizational performance.
Yes.
It's great for companies. This year we know IT performance, or we've revalidated IT performance is good for companies. Yay, money. But what does that mean? What makes IT performance better? What drives IT performance? So the talk title was How Continuous Delivery and Lean Management Makes Your DevOps Amazeballs.
Right, okay.
And we actually found a predictive relationship from continuous delivery and lean management to IT performance, and then all the way through to organizational performance.
Excellent. So Nicole, we did a little survey at DevOps.com a couple months ago with, we called it The Real Value of DevOps. It was sponsored by Elasticbox. And we were trying to see which companies have actually done sort of ROI analysis on their DevOps initiatives. And we were thinking all of these thoughts turned out to be totally wrong, as usual. But what it really showed us is that companies almost by gut felt that using DevOps, going faster, automating more was good for the business. A, they didn't correlate it to bottom line profits or numbers well enough. And B, they didn't specifically look at the sort of ROI of these specific DevOps initiatives they undertook, whether it be continuous delivery or configuration management or any of the other things, options along the way. And I'm wondering, is that because we're still early in the game and people haven't taken the time to do the analysis, or have you?
I don't know if it's because they haven't taken time to do the analysis. It may be that analysis doesn't always pan out. I mean, sometimes ROI or things like IRR, internal rate of return, they aren't always best suited for things like IT investments because it's not a thing that traditionally pans out. Things like value engineering can be a really, really great way to try to explain this, and it sounds like that's what they're doing. So value engineering can be a combination of explaining how you're making more money and saving more money. So it can be, tying in traditional things that involve cost, as well as combining that with things like building up the function. So how is my testing more complete and more consistent than it's been in the past? How is my integration of, compliance as code faster than it's been before and more complete than it's been before? Now that I can do auditing with my code and auditing with everything else, now I'm just not auditing on a portion of my sample, now I'm doing it on everything, and it can be more complete, more consistent, more reliable across my entire fleet of servers.
Yep. So Nicole, before starting DevOps.com, I started several software companies and tech companies over the last, I don't even want to say how many years. A few years.
A little bit.
And one of the mantras that we always kind of believed in is that everything is measurable and we measure everything. And is that still true in a DevOps world?
We would like it to be.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time things are growing and changing so fast that not everyone can do it. Yeah. And sometimes that's the dirty little secret. Yeah. Is people want to say they are, and you hear about companies like Etsy that are measuring all the things, and they have monitors everywhere, and it guides business decisions, and that's the ideal, and it's the gold standard. And then you turn and you see companies who are they're iterating and they're growing and they're somewhere along their DevOps transformation, and they just aren't quite there yet. And so then I step in or I go talk to them and I say, it's okay. Think of 2 or 3 measures along, a few key axes and start somewhere. So look at some of your internal metrics. What is going to help improve some of your internal processes and efficiencies? Look at some of your external facing metrics that are important to some of your customers, whoever your customers are, if you're serving someone inside the business or someone outside the business. What's going to be important to that? And then look at your culture. What are some of the things that you can measure or look at capturing for that? And then baseline, get something for where you're starting, and then keep measuring, and see if you can improve. You don't have to have this incredible wall of monitors and metrics that automatically update themselves every 15 minutes and are glorious and beautiful. So just start somewhere and then iterate and improve.
So there you hear it from the statistics person, from the numbers person, and sometimes it's more than numbers. You've got to sometimes, you got to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere. Absolutely.
Let's shift a little bit and talk about DevOps Enterprise Summit. Of course, you were here last year. You've been involved in planning, and I know Gene leans on you for a lot of insights. What do you think of this year's show?
This year is amazing. So last year was fascinating. I loved seeing all of the things coming up. This is quickly becoming my favorite conference. The community is fantastic. The stories that are coming out of it are so strong and so insightful. The energy is amazing. You know, the joke, particularly among tech crowds, and I've been around a minute, right? I've been around a while. But the energy is great. You don't always see that among tech crowds.
No, you don't.
Especially among enterprise, right? So sometimes it's like, tech, I'm not going to go to an enterprise thing. I'm seeing a bunch of people from really old, traditional tech conferences that I've been going to for years, where like if I'm in like not a t-shirt and jeans, they're giving me grief.
Yeah.
They're fighting their way to come into DOS this year.
Yeah.
And they found me in the halls and they're like, I'm here. And this is the place to be.
It is amazing. I mean, beyond that, there's 2 or 3 times the amount of people there were last year. The conversations. So I spent most of this summit sitting here in this TV video studio. But I get to see even the little unconference tables that are out. You can't see, people can't see that. But Nicole and I can. And I see the conversations taking place, and I'm watching. Because sometimes it's not what happens on the stage, it's what happens in the hallway.
Oh, the hallway track.
That really determines, the hallway tracks. And it's just been amazing. Last question, I'm going to let you go. What do you do? Where do we go from here?
I think it's really the DevOps mantra. You keep growing, you keep iterating, you keep improving. And I'm really particularly interested to see where we break into next. Because in the past, DevOps was, all the startups and the unicorns. We've made such significant strides in just the last couple of years into the enterprise now. Mm-hmm. But there's still this contingent of companies or people in tech and executives just don't know what DevOps is. Yeah. They may not have heard the word. Now at least they've heard the term, but so many of them just don't know what it is. I cannot wait to see what comes the next year in terms of breaking down more barriers and coming into more conversations.
Absolutely. I can't wait either.
It'll be great.
Anyway, we're going to take it a wrap there. Dr. Nicole, thank you so much for coming in.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
This is Alan Schimmel for DevOps.com.